There's not one of them that didn't die that I'm aware of that didn't die through their own hands or through their own wrongdoing. If you want to say that I tempted them, I put them in temptation, yes.
John Gacy stole the lives of more than 30 young men. But this is not that story. This is the story of the one that got away. Join Smart Cookies Production as we investigate the details surrounding one young man's personal encounter with serial killer John Wayne Gacy, narrowly escaping his brush with death. Are you ready to meet the one that got away? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the most thought-provoking true crime content online. It's time for another Smart Cookies production.
Going to the lead-in as to, as you know, you were at 1978.
Yeah.
You were present.
Yeah. Okay, that's the way I'd like to start, and I'd like to kind of go
Well, what do
through
you got there? Let's see your list.
Well,
John Gacy used various methods to surround himself with potential victims, from dressing as a clown and entertaining at parties to employing young men with his construction company. He made sure to provide himself with ample targets. But one young man managed to escape his grasp. Meet Tony Antonucci, the one that got away.
At the time when I met him, I was about 16 years old. And of course, like a lot of 16-year-olds, I wanted to get a job so I could afford to have my car.
Saving up for a ride in the 1970s, Tony would work on various job sites with Gacy, mentioning that his boss seemed like a nice guy, describing his demeanor as jovial. Not exactly the type of guy that makes Tony concerned for his safety. Tony talks about his time working with PDM, recalling Gacy being pretty laid back.
John would say, hey, it's a nice day out, let's knock off early. I didn't expect your boss to be the one that wanted to knock off early.
Working for PDM may have seemed like a normal job, but for some young men, working for John Wayne Gacy proved lethal, finding their eternal resting place beneath his Chicago house of horrors. For Tony, his close call came after an accident at work, ending up with a nail in his foot. Gacy takes Tony to get a tetanus shot, then drives him home, only to return hours later, knowing the young man's parents are gone.
Came over later that evening to check on if I was okay, or that was the theory, but he also had, some wine, and we were drinking. And
Arriving at Tony's home around 10 or 10:30, the two begin to drink and joke around, watching the so-called stag films Gacy so often used to lure victims, hanging out into the night. Things are calm, and Tony is having a good time drinking wine with the older Gacy. After several drinks, when the mood seemed right to Gacy, he lays down a challenge to the young high school wrestler.
he said, oh, you're a big wrestler guy, and he started wrestling around with me. He got my left arm, and he got it behind me, and I felt him put a handcuff on it.
Gacy is now wrestling with him. Tony flails his free arm, attempting to prevent Gacy from applying the other cuff. After some time, Gacy manages to overpower the teenager and subdues the young man. He then knocks him into the floor. After Tony is handcuffed and laying face down, Gacy undoes the button on his pants, proceeding to slide them down. Then, for some reason, he leaves the room. Tony makes the most of his absence.
And I realized that if I pulled really hard on my right hand that I could pull my hand through the handcuff. I could get it out.
Freeing one hand, Tony does not move. Lying in the floor, waiting on Gacy to return, he has a plan, never suspecting that his life was in any real danger. He wants to win the wrestling match, clueless how high the stakes truly are. When Gacy returns, he has no clue Tony is free. Using his wrestling skills, Tony pins Gacy on the floor with a double leg takedown. He then handcuffs Gacy's arm, binding the pair together. Tony then wrestles for the key. He secures it and frees his other hand. He now manages to gain the power position.
And I handcuffed him behind his back, laying face down. He goes, "You're the only one that not only got out of the handcuffs, you got them on me."
Gacy must have been shocked. Tony keeps him laying on the floor for 10 to 15 minutes, never realizing just how ominous of a statement it was when Gacy praised him for being the only one to escape. Tony negotiates for Gacy to leave if he takes the cuffs off, never realizing just how dangerous of a man he was about to free.
You know, he had previously agreed that when I let him up, he would leave, and he did.
Gacy keeps his word. Tony thinks he has passed some type of test and thinks nothing more of the incident. As shocking as it is, Tony went right back to work, remaining employed by PDM for months following the strange encounter. Tony tells no one of his tussle with Gacy until a reporter from the Chicago Tribune tracks him down while looking for people who were close to the serial killer. Tony shares his ordeal with the paper. They publish the story, and detectives read it. The police contact Tony and ask him to testify in court.
I saw him in court, and he was off to my left, sitting at the table where the defense attorneys are, and he just stared straight forward.
His story shared shocking similarities with other young men who would never be able to speak of their own encounters with the serial killer. Gacy's legal team mounts an insanity defense. Tony's nerves are on edge. Listening to investigators tell the story of young men who did not escape Gacy's grasp, he must have been horrified. Listen to Des Plaines officer Dave Hackmeister describing Gacy's use of handcuffs on another victim.
And the last trick that he shows Piest is the handcuff trick. So Gacy says, "Well, here, you handcuff yourself, and I'll show you how to do it." He looks at Gacy and he says, "Now, what's a trick to this?" And Gacy reaches in his pocket and pulls out a key to the handcuffs, and he says, "The trick is, you got to have this key."
Tony Antonucci now understands just how close he came to the fire without getting burned, attributing his very survival to his lack of fear.
I did not fear for my life, and not fearing for my life and not panicking is probably what saved my life. And, you know, he was 33 years old and very strong, and I was 16 or 17. I'm sure he could have overpowered me if he knew he had to.
The one that got away. Decades later, Tony very much so realizes how fortunate he was on that fateful day.
I do feel very lucky to be alive. I don't know what to attribute that to. You know, maybe luck definitely. The biggest component, a little bit of help from above.
Whether it was divine intervention from above or plain dumb luck, Tony Antonucci is the one that got away from serial killer John Wayne Gacy. Other young men did live to tell about their encounters with Gacy, but Tony Antonucci was the only one who walked away unscathed. Why do you think Gacy allowed Tony to escape? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the most thought-provoking true crime content online. Thanks for watching another Smart Cookies production.
He could have done something to overpower me and continue on, but he didn't. And I thank God for that, certainly. He gets this in his mind to do this, and he's going to, rape you and kill you and all these kind of things. And then something happens that snaps him back to, the more normal personality. I suppose in retrospect, getting out of the handcuffs, the first thing I should have done is just run like hell.